it's your favorite Professor Kyra, and if this is the first video you're ever seeing of me, hello. I am a mascot. I work professionally with a sports team, and I have done a bunch of mascot events for the past 6 years, and in these 6 years that I've been a mascot, I have heard some really wild shit. And I guess that's what you're here for, is to hear the wild shit I've heard as a mascot. And there's been a lot. Something I've noticed, like, right off the bat with this is when I became a professional, like, sports mascot, the weird comments kind of dwindled down. But it was the other events that I've done leading up to this that's the weird shit that I've heard. And something that I have noticed is I feel like people are less likely to say things at sports events because you're a lot more heavily monitored, you always have a handler, there's always people around, and, like, you can get kicked for it. Like, you can be kicked out of an arena for treating the mascot like shit. But when it comes to the other events I did, it's a little bit of a harder situation. And I'll explain. So before I was a sports mascot, I did a lot of community stuff. Fairs, carnivals, all that kind of stuff. Me and my partner for the mascot group we're a part of would do these events. And it was at these, like, events that weird shit was said because a lot of times we didn't have a handler because both of us were always going out together and just sticking together, like, in suit. There was one particular event that we did. I believe it was either 2 or 3 years in a row. It was in August. It was hot. It was terrible weather. This particular fair, it was a week long, and we were going out for about 5-6 hours at a time. Not obviously consistently. We'd go out for like an hour, come back, take like a 15-20 minute break, go back out. But basically the chunk of time we were working was over the span of about 5 to 6 hours a day. They were really fun. We got paid very well for them, and it was very nice at the time. But these high-paying events came at a cost, and that was our sanity and our mental state, because by the end of the week, you're dead tired. You got to think, like, it's August. Inside the suit, it's like 20 degrees warmer than it is outside. It's humid. It's gross. And then throwing into everything, you get these weird things that are said to you and situations that happen that make the job suddenly 10 times more challenging. And that's what this video is about. So, one of the times at this particular fair, because I did 2 different fairs. I did a state fair, and then I did this, like, smaller fair. At the smaller fair, me and my partner, we were out. If you're not familiar with a fair, usually it's like this big area. There's like paths with like food or carnival games or whatever in between. And usually it's almost like a circle. You can kind of go through, but there's a lot of like pathways and stuff. We would stick to the pathways because it's where the people were. That's where they wanted us to be, because we were supposed to be, like, present. But in these areas, we would hear the most wild shit said to us. One of the wildest things, and this is just collective, because this happens a lot, and it doesn't happen as much when I'm working at the arena that I work at, but it happens more at these, like, side events. Because you have teenagers that go to these fairs and these carnivals and everything, and they just hang out in their little groups. One of the weirdest things that I always get asked is, like, what's your number? What's your Snapchat? What's, all this kind of stuff. And it's not like one time as a joke. Like, they're actually, like, hounding you to get it. And what I find really weird about that is, like, you don't know who's in here. I could be a guy. I could be a girl. Obviously, like, I've done these videos. I've told you guys, like, I'm a girl. But they don't know that. And it's weird because, like, you hear it enough that you can kind of just, like, get past it. But there were people that would follow us for, like, 15 minutes at a time, begging for it. Oh, gosh, give me your number. Give me your number. Like, give me your Snapchat. Like, it was weird. To the point where we would go, okay, I think it's time to start heading back to the room and just sit there for a bit, and maybe it'll die down. Which kind of also ties into, like, being asked, oh, are you a guy or a girl? It's weird. It is weird, but that one happens actually quite often, even now, as, like, sports mascot. It's weird. What does it matter? Like, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Uh, I have been asked in the middle of performing, and I think it was at one of the fairs also. Like, oh, just take the head off. Like, just take it off. We want to see who you are. Like, I'm working. People don't understand is like when you're a mascot, like it is still a job. Like it is my job to be out and about and doing the things that I do. They act like I'm there to be a burden or I'm just asking to be bullied and harassed. Like, no, I'm doing a job. Like we got paid to do it. Even with my like sports job, like I'm paid to be there to do what I'm doing. People act at these like community events like you're not allowed to be there, so I'm gonna make your life a living hell and make you as uncomfortable as possible. Um, and what was weird is at the fair, the one fair we were at, there were these two kids, and I say kids because they had to be under like 15, and it was weird. They followed us for like 20 minutes through this fair, also asking for our number and our Snapchat. They seemed a little too young to be even asking that question, but then they started like harassing us and saying, "I know you're just a person in a costume. I know that. I know that." And like when you don't have a handler in a situation like that, it is very difficult to like kind of tell them to fuck off because you'll start interacting with kids that don't know that you're just a costume and they're just yapping and yapping and it's like shut up. Because like just because you know that I'm just a person, this little kid does not. And it's like really difficult to like tell them like, "Hey, like we're trying to do our job. Can you go away?" when you don't have a handler. Um that also happened like long before I was like more professional because when I hear that stuff now, I kind of wave them away. Like, hey, if you're going to be a problem and like you're not going to let me do my job, like just go away. Like be gone. Um I've noticed that when people like will say that, like, "Oh yeah, like uh you're just a person in costume." I literally shoo them away. Like, go away. Like, I'm doing my job. These little kids still believe in the magic and everything. Like, go away. Which actually makes me think of this actually happened more recently. I think it was like last season or the season before. It might have been last season. At my like sports job. Something that's also very weird because I think I can remember it specifically here, but I think it also happened with those same two kids at the fair. Um, I had someone say, "Follow me. Come follow me." If you're a mascot, never, never follow someone, especially teenagers, because that's who it was. I split off from my handler because I had to go downstairs and like do some stuff for the game, and I was in a little bit of a rush. And they like grabbed my hand. First off, don't ever grab a mascot for any reason, like to get their attention. Don't ever do that. This guy grabbed my hand and I was like, "Yo," like I quick pulled it back, like, "You're not gonna touch me like that." And they're like, "Oh yeah, come follow us, come follow us." Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. They're gonna set you up and put you in a really bad situation. Don't ever do that. Which is weird. Don't do that. It's weird. But I've had this happen at like the community events. Like a situation like that, I know where I can or can't go because there is security at entrances that they're not gonna let them follow me. But at community events, where it's a big open area and they're asking you to follow and they're doing the same thing where they're trying to pull you, break away, find somebody. If you don't have a handler like we did, find the police that are there, find the security that's there, and like even pull them aside if you have to and talk to them because like your safety's on the line. Because if they're trying to get you to follow them, 9 times out of 10, it's for nothing good. So that's weird. Like, "Oh, come follow us." No, I'm not going to follow you. I'm not an idiot. When you're a mascot, you need to protect yourself at all costs, and you may have to protect yourself more than you've ever realized you ever had to. Like, that stuff's weird. Um, Getting asked, and this still happens at my job, if you're a pedophile. Are you a pedophile in there? Are you a pedophile? And like, I'm talking, they're yelling this. And it goes back to like the whole, like, when there's little kids around and you hear like, "Oh, you're just a person in a costume." It's the same situation. Unfortunately, mascots have this bad like rap about, oh, every one of them just like a pedophile and stuff. No, no, that's not the fucking case. Some of us are just very passionate about just being entertainment and roaring up the crowds at like sporting events, because for me, the team that I work for, I love with all my heart, and I am very passionate about making sure the fans have the best experience possible. So you'll hear people just like ask it very loud. Again, it's usually teenagers. And it's like, yo, shut up. If I was, guess what? I'm not allowed to do my job. You know, when you work as a mascot, you have to go through a hiring process, and they always do a background check. If they see that, you don't get hired. And that's what people fail to realize is like, there, unfortunately, yes, there are people that have done terrible things, but I work professionally. I had to go through a background check, a criminal history. I'm clean. So I got the job. I had the experience because I did it, but it's just like, it should never have to be that I have to hear it constantly because a few people ruined it for everybody else. Like, it's unfortunate, and it's very weird to hear all the time. But also, like, again, it's weird to hear when you're trying to interact with, like, a little kid that is their first time seeing a mascot, and these kids are just screaming, ah, it's a pedophile, don't let him near your kid. Like, shut up. It's weird. Like, if you have a problem with me, then don't interact with me. Like, I'm trying to do my job. At the end of the day, being a mascot is a job. I have to think because, like, it's 6 years of memory that I have to go through, but those are, like, the predominant ones. At my actual, like, working for the team that I work for, I don't hear as much wild, crazy stuff. Like, I'll hear the occasional, like, let me get your number, but, like, most of the time, I say most of the time, it's only said once, and it's just being funny. Normally, I try to, like, not play into it, but just kind of be, like, casual about it, but if it gets past it, then alright, I'm gonna walk away. Like, whatever. Like, you kind of have to play into some things as a mascot, but, like, sometimes people are genuinely joking and they don't mean anything by it, but unfortunately, like, there are people that have very, like, weird intentions with us. So, um, yeah. But if you're constantly asking, though, for, like, an anonymous person's number when you don't know them, I don't know, that's just, like, a weird thing. But I was not very prepared. I'm never prepared for my videos, so I'm trying to think, because for me, it's more so action than saying. Um, like, I've had a lot of physical, like, altercations where people were, like, someone grabbed, like, if it was a Kyra, they basically managed to get under the fluff and, like, pull my neck. I've had people give me whiplash before, but I could save that. I've done videos about it if you're ever curious about some of the stuff. It's mostly, those kind of videos are mostly on TikTok, but, like, I'm trying to think. I really have put myself into the thought here. What else? I know there's been crazier things. I mean, that's, like, the pretty much gist of, like, some of the weird stuff. But, like, I guess the only other thing is, like, when people know who you are in suit and they call you by your name, I never respond. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I will say, like, working with a sports team is kind of interesting because you get different kinds of people and stuff like that. You have to deal with alcohol and people drinking and saying some crazy stuff. But I don't know. That's, like, the weirdest crazy shit. But oh, this was not me in suit. I was a handler, but this had to be probably the craziest request that I've gotten as a handler working with another mascot. This This is how I'm gonna end the video on this one because this is wild. So I had a guy and his friend. It was at the end of a game. They were taking pictures with the mascot, and I'm just standing there letting the mascot do what they gotta do. This guy wants a picture with his friend, and was like, he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, are you the handler?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm the handler. What's up?" He's like, "I wanted to get a picture." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." He's like, "But it's a little bit inappropriate," and I had to like take a moment to go, oh my god, oh right, what am I about to be asked? So I was like, how inappropriate? And he's like, well, I want my friend to stand like this, and I'm going to stand like this. And your mascot friend is going to be on their knees pretending to suck my friend's dick. We're going to do like an Eiffel Tower. I had to take a moment to not be like, what the fuck with this guy? And I was like, no, absolutely fucking not. You cannot do that. And he's like, it's worth a try. I'm like, worth a fucking try? What are you talking about? And like, this guy's asking me this. Again, there's little kids that are interacting with the mascot. And this dude wanted to take an Eiffel Tower photo with the mascot. First of all, no. Second off, if that gets out, that's the kind of stuff that makes mascots look bad. Like, I honestly was like actually irritated that that was even asked. That is something interesting to kind of end this video on, is like, people ask you weird things like that. Like, no, we can't do that. Like, I don't even know what possesses people to like ask those kinds of like questions too, because it's like, you really had the balls to ask me, can I Eiffel Tower the mascot? No, you fucking cannot do that. But yeah, being a mascot's fun. It is. However, you do get some very, very weird fucking requests. But you have to be strong-minded. I say it all the time with mascot stuff. You have to be strong-minded. You have to be just ready for anything. But the best advice I can give is just walk away. Don't engage. Just walk away. Pretend like you didn't hear them. Because some people out there are just very not okay. To be asking a person in a costume to be doing some wild shit or saying weird ass shit. But you gotta keep yourself safe. So if that ever happens to you as a mascot, just walk away. That's the best advice I could give.